One of the common questions that we often get from people that we speak to who are interested in joining the Propane Business Program, which is our walkthrough of getting your funnel set up, essentially running a Facebook ad to your landing page to a 14-day challenge, and then delivering a 6-week group online program with a recurring back-end model that builds your long-term profitability. Very sexy, very very concisely expressed, rather than like 7-figure fit pro. But the difference is that
truth is boring, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not sexy, but it works. But people who apply to join that will often ask, what are the hidden costs involved? So the ad costs, the software costs, anything else that is needed in terms of insurance and licenses and all that stuff too. So I thought it's probably worth going through what are some of these costs involved in running an online coaching business.
Let's just get to the bottom of it once and for all. That's what you're saying, isn't it? Essentially.
Yeah.
That's just right here, right now.
Let's finally settle this.
Enough's enough. So I'll cover the ad side because that's a very common question. So people have just come from another coach and all the coach has said to them is, oh, just post more. You're not posting enough. You need to perfect your caption, post on Instagram. Don't run ads. Ads are for idiots. Ads are for losers. They've come from that world. They've watched our training and they're like, yeah, it makes sense. But ads are really expensive. I don't want to run ads. The thing about that is, once that you only think ads are expensive because you assume you're getting nothing back. You're assuming that you're seeing them as, I spend money on Facebook or Instagram and then that money's gone and I get nothing back from it, and what a waste. And a lot of people, when they've run an ad before, they've pressed boost post and they've given more exposure to a reel or a video or a post that has been done well, and all you have paid for in that instance is eyeballs, reach onto something. When we're teaching ads in Propane Business, we're teaching ads to a post that you've designed specifically to link to a landing page, to capture contact information, to go through a funnel that we've already validated, that then a percentage of people buy. So the way that it should work is you spend 100 quid, you get 40 to 60 leads opt in, and then a percentage of those people will buy your program. And if you spend 100 quid and you make one sale, you've more than covered your costs, right? So imagine you spend 100 quid. So the first time we run ads, it's £10 for 10 days, £100 test. If you do well, you get a £2-3, something like that cost per lead. Then, and you make a sale, just one sale, which is within KPI. In fact, that's better than what we'd ideally expect. Is that right? Sorry, it's worse than what we'd ideally expect. You've more than covered your costs. And so the process with this is, right, well, I'll take that revenue and I'll reinvest that back in again. And I get more leads and make more sales and make more revenue. I'll reinvest that and I'll reinvest that. And the whole thing snowballs up. And because, as Yusuf said, this 14-day challenge is feeding people who stay long-term with you. So they rebill again and again and again. You might pay 100 quid and get 2 clients, make some profit. But if those people stay for 8 months at £100 a month, you spent 100 quid, you made 1,600 from those 2 people staying for 8 months. So suddenly that changes your frame of reference of like, ads are a cost. And yes, they are a cost. And I'm not saying you've got a mindset problem around that. They're definitely an expense, but they're an expense that's attached to an immediate attributable return on that investment, unlike other things.
And the way that Johnny teaches ads in the program is progressive. So we are not the kind of people who would say, oh, you need to just chuck 10 grand into ads and hope for the best. And because we don't want you to be taking big financial risks with this stuff. Like, it might work, but if it doesn't, then you've just spaffed 10 grand. So the goal is you run your challenge organically first. You validate that offer. You make sure that all the moving parts are working. And then when that's in place, that's when you say, okay, time to reinvest some of the profits into a test run of my next ad budget for paid challenge. Then we're really testing whether that works with cold audiences. And when we validated that, that's when we're like, right, now we can safely pull the lever, because we know that putting cold audiences into the top of this funnel spits out clients reliably at the bottom. And then that's when you can turn up the dial and you can be as aggressive as you want to be, depending on your capacity for the next step in the business, which is how many clients can you take on. And that's a nice problem to have, but it's certainly a problem that if you have 50 new clients tomorrow and you haven't got the systems to hold them and to deliver to them, then you're going to get 50 unhappy clients. So then obviously the problem shifts to the delivery side of the business too. So that's ads, and that's why we can't give a specific answer, because it's a progressive and variable set of expenses that you have in your business. But the goal is that by the time you're running them, you've validated the offer, so you know that it's going to be generating you money, hopefully on the front end, but certainly on the back end.
And just one final additional point. Our ideal is that, so it's, I kind of see it as like green lights on each stage, right? So we want a green light on the challenge works, the offer works, the niche wants to buy it, the price works, great. And ideally we do that organically, i.e. people who you might have on social media, people who are sick of seeing, hey, book a call, book a call, book a call, people who you used to work with offline, friends of friends, former colleagues, well, like anything you can get for free, run down the street with, I'm doing a free challenge, dress naked, anything goes at that stage, because it's the only time we'll ever say promote something organically. And then we move to ads. So we've got green light on the challenge, price, offer, niche. Now we want green lights on the ads, price, offer, niche, etc. But some people come to us and they're like, I'm sick of doing organic. I don't want to do organic. If you guys are going to make me do organic, I'm not interested. So we've adapted the ads process. If you just want to join and do ads for whatever reason, like you can't post something on your Facebook because you're in a 9-to-5 job and you don't want them to know, or you've done organic to death and you don't want to do any more of it. Ads can work out the gate as well. It's the same process. So it's £10 a day for 10 days. It's a slightly higher risk that it won't work, obviously, but we've adapted. There's an entire workflow, an entire process of what the changes to make. If and when you join Propane Business and work with us, when you book a call, which you're going to do once you finish listening to this podcast.
So short answer for the test budget, £10 a day for 10 days, just to make sure that that whole thing's working. And we do everything that we can to make sure that that's not a sunk cost, that when you do that, it does generate leads and clients. And also the leads that you build, if they don't buy, they'll go onto your email list and they may end up buying in 3 months' time or 6 months' time.
Yeah.
There are certain people in the buying process that you just can't force a sale with. And that's fine. You know, you could have given them absolutely everything they needed, but it's just not the right time. And nothing you do on your side is ever going to change that. But in 6 months, they might be like, oh, do you know what? Now's the time for me to sign up for a coach. I remember I did that challenge a while back. I've been getting their emails. Now it's the time for me. And the more people you have on your list, the more that's going to be an effect, until you get this like constant drip through of old leads that are kind of bouncing back into your world again. And that's a really cool effect to have.
That's why like delaying starting this stuff is such a kicker, because like you start today, you launch a challenge today, you've already pushed that boulder down the hill. Like it's going to reach its destination in the future. So in 6 months' time, when the people who opted in today finally reach their chance to buy, you start reaping the rewards over and over and over again in the future.
Oh, there's so much compounding. I mean, people do it with fitness as well. Like, oh, I'm not going to start a program until January or until Monday or until I've got all the birds lined up, whatever. But it's like you're just missing out on the compound effect in a year's time. You'd wish you'd have started sooner. So broadly, that's the first part of the answer to the question, how much does it cost outside of a sort of business coaching to run an online coaching business? So you've got the ads, variable, hopefully immediate return. The other side of the costs are any running costs of a business, which if you're working from home, you're not paying rent or rates or anything, but you will have to pay for liability insurance, which to begin with for us was around £300 a year.
So we've had clients get lower than that. It's just revenue based. So we've had clients get it for cheaper. Yeah, and a lot of PT, if you're a personal trainer, you'll likely already have something like that in place as well.
Yeah, you might need to just call your broker and make sure that the online side of your service offering is covered by the underwriter. So you've got that. You then have, if you have a website, web hosting's pretty cheap nowadays. There's places that do it for almost free, or like £20 a year or something. Then in terms of the actual software that you need to deliver your coaching, you need an email marketing system. We recommend ActiveCampaign, and we have a Propane exclusive discount that I can put in the link in the description for the podcast. And we also would recommend some way to deliver your program. we're pretty agnostic towards the different tools that you need to deliver your coaching. And we've got videos and videos on like comparing all the different ones and seeing which one suits your use case best. But start free and move up as needed. So personally, because we work with powerlifters and people who require a bit more kind of complex spreadsheeted formula type programming, the out-the-box solutions of things like PT Distinction and Fitter and My PT Hub and stuff don't really work for us. And we'd prefer to have blank slate, full ability to customize it. That might be different for you, depending on how qualitative your coaching is or how your programming works, or you might use something already. Fine, no need to ditch that. Just make sure that it's got the capacity to throw another 50 people in without either bumping you into an insane monthly cost for the software, and that it's not going to be so time costly that you're going to be spending 30, 40 hours a week just tweaking the programming of each of your clients. But generally, the delivery software, and we, if you have a look on our members area, we've got a bunch of them laid out with the pros and cons and stuff. So that's all for free. So just go on members.propanefitness.com for that. But that should cost you between $0 and $50 per month. Especially starting out, you shouldn't need to be paying more than that. So in total, we've got hosting, insurance, ads, software. Monthly, that's all in probably about £100 to £150 per month. And that's
including ads in that?
Including ads, yeah. All of these things should be generating you money on the back end. So they're not really costs, because they're more investments, because your delivery program is going to contribute to how long people stay with you on the program for, and therefore your retention and your monthly rebill rate. So you'll get the money back for that. Even one client pays for the members software. Email automation software, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The general rule of thumb is that you should be getting £1 per email subscriber per month. And so if you have a list of 5,000 people and they're active leads, that'll be generating you roughly £5,000 a month. I spoke to someone the other day who had an old list of 5,000 inactive, dusty leads that he hadn't messaged in a while. And for that, you're probably better off, rather than paying for the costs of that, is to look at who are the most engaged ones last time you used that list and only importing them.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to have a big email list or a big following because of vanity, but it's actually not good for you long term, because that harms your engagement. It's better to be relevant to a smaller number of people and convert higher.
And a lot of platforms charge you for contact. They charge you on a contact basis. So the more people you have in your system, the more they will charge you to have them in that system. And unless they're bringing you a return on investment, there's no point, basically. But yeah, I suppose the two principles are, you can start for free. And I think there is absolutely a way you can build everything that we teach using free tools. The free tools exist. You can then, but I suppose with that comes probably some frustration with it. Like, are they as good as the paid tools? No.
You're right. I should say, actually, like that outline of the software that I mentioned is really the best practice. But yeah, you can do all parts of that for free. The only thing that you actually need, and even then, like, it depends how willing you are to be sued and pay damages and stuff. But the only thing that you really should do is the liability insurance.
Yeah, we recommend the insurance thing just as standard, because I think it's just sensible. I don't think that's money that's worth like trying to save, because if you get sued, like, you never look back and go, God damn, what an idiot I was for getting that insurance. But yeah, they software basically exists on a spectrum of free and super expensive for pretty much anything you want to do. Super expensive, you can very quickly go down a rabbit hole and buy things you don't need. There's often something that is on the cheap end that does the job for you. And I think the view you have to take with software is, I am buying this for this reason. So I'm signing up for this bit of software to achieve this thing in the business because I think there's a business need for it. And a lot of the times, those reasons will become obvious as your business grows. So as Yusuf's saying, you get 20 clients, right? Well, I need some sort of way to deliver my program to them. I need a way to maximize my retention. It makes sense to invest some money in buying some good software for that, for example.
Yeah, there's a trade-off between time and money, always. in most decisions, but particularly with software choices, that you can do everything on the cheap. And we've met people that are on both ends of the spectrum. Some people that will try and you see their setup and you're like, God, how have you managed to do this for free? And it's because they've managed to like jimmy rig all the free trials of all the different bits of software and like Zapier and connecting all the, and it's like, just pay the $10 a month and make that process smoother. So they're trying to do everything on the cheap. You've also got people who will just be so loose with buying software and kit and gear and monthly subscriptions that they don't end up using, and it's just bloated because they're like, I mean, in a way, fair play to them, because they're like, oh, I've got to invest in my business. I'm like, well, yeah, you do, but as Johnny says, like, have a reason to make each purchase, because it's not just the financial cost, it's also the kind of bloat cost of your business overall.
Yeah. Because of this, like, I think, I can't remember what it was the last time, our like software bill for everything all in is about $1,000 a month, something like that. And that's us getting everything we need. That's, we've got like the tools required to run a business of this size. We could probably spend less, but we're at the point where you spend less, suddenly that process that one of us does, or one of the team does, now has to be done manually, or something has to be added manually. So actually, we're very aware of that time money trade-off all the time with these things that we're running. But what was I going to say? God damn it.
Bloat.
I've remembered. We initially, when we first launched Propane, used Word, I think Excel, and email. And so the thing I'm always really conscious of with this conversation is that I think, and we even have this with some clients sometimes, where it's really easy to like watch Yusuf's Notion video, get really excited about it, watch Yusuf's software video, both of which are excellent, by the way. You should go watch them if you haven't. Get really excited about all that stuff and spend weeks setting all that stuff up
with no clients. Yeah, you watch the video and miss the first 4 minutes warning you exclusively not to
do that
problem. Because we used to email an Excel file back and forth between clients, and if we had the one that wasn't up to date, it would miss a week of the macros. And now that's obviously trying to do everything on the cheap. And back when we started, there wasn't really collaboration syncing document software that existed. Like when Google Docs became a thing, that became a huge quality of life upgrade for us.
Yeah. Well, we were using Dropbox. So I used to have a Dropbox file for every client. This was the upgrade from this initially. So we were emailing a spreadsheet back and forth, and you would realize, you like write someone's new program in a tab, and then you realize that you'd opened the email they'd sent 2 weeks ago and updated the wrong version of the spreadsheet. So I had to port there. But all of that is to say that the business was still generating an income. And to be honest, like the business at that stage was generating an income that, if it had just been one of us and there was no costs, it would have been a full-time living for somebody if we'd wanted it to be. So the evidence there is that you don't need any of these things. Like we still have insurance, by the way, but you don't need any of these things to get people to pay you and work with you. And we were also getting great results with those people. So your skills as a coach and your ability to market and sell your service are never going to be fixed by the app you have, or the software you're using, or how much you're spending on various subscriptions. Like those things are skills and abilities that you need to ultimately learn and train over time, and that's what's going to build a business.
Maybe the decision framework you can use of, should I get this bit of software or get this subscription or whatever, is what would happen if I didn't have it? So what's the cost of me not getting this? So usually, if it's a software, it would be, well, this process would be manual and it would cost me 1 hour per week to manually look up this number in the spreadsheet and type it in and whatever. Or it could be, well, I get sued for £10 million and I don't have any legal cover insurance or something like that. So then you end up kind of reverse engineering it that way by saying, if it didn't exist, what would happen? Okay, I can justify having it. Someone talked about this in terms of the inversion principle of running a nightclub event. So rather than thinking like, oh, okay, I'm going to run an amazing nightclub event. It's going to have smoke machines, and we'll have Bass Hunter as the DJ, and it'll have like a big strobe on the top, and with loads of sexy ladies like doing that. And actually, that's not making a successful club night, because you've not covered for the foundations, the basics. So instead, if you go, right, what would make a really terrible club night? Well, if there was a fire, if there was used needles on the floor and people were getting HIV and tetanus, if that, so like, how do you then stop those things happening?
Mm.
And then as a result, the emergent thing is that you end up with an acceptable club night, and then you can add the cherry on top later on.
So I guess apply that to an online fitness business. Like, what's the worst online fitness business? So it's one with high expenses and no revenue, because that's going to fail pretty quickly. So that's a business with loads of software and no customers. Beyond that, it's a business with customers who are getting terrible results and leaving. So a business that has customers that are getting good results is going to be better than a business that doesn't have those things, but thousands of pieces of software or whatever. So the fundamentals are, am I getting leads and clients? Are those clients getting results, and are they happy? And if you want to add things around that, you can, but it's a progressive thing. So hopefully that is put to bed. The age-old question.
Finally settled it once and for all.
Finally done it.
If you want to chat to us, if those costs sound okay, that's reasonable, and that's the kind of model that I'm looking to build, then you can always send us an email. We have special slots that we reserve just for people that make it all the way to minute 33 of the podcast. So send us an email, admin@propanefitness.com. Just put Propane Business Podcast or podcast in the title, and we will send you a very special link that Johnny's made.
It's interesting, because I used to say that at the end of every podcast when I was walking to the coffee shop, and we used to, those emails used to come in a lot. And I think we haven't done it for a while, and the podcasters, people have opted in through various other means. As soon as we've started mentioning it again, VIP queue's full. It's crazy. You don't want to miss out on the VIP
email
queue.
Marketing.
I'll speak to you all on a VIP call when you send us an email, or I'll speak to you in the next episode.